time now for the markets analysis on Trading Bell. Welcome back. My name is Malika Kazia. I'm joined by Samuel Gishohi, our financial analyst this week. Welcome, Samuel.
Thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic. So just before, of course, we went on the break, we had Abiagina speaking to Mrs. Rebecca Miano, the Managing Director and CEO of Kengen. But moving on from that conversation now, let's look at the markets before we even get into our movers, gainers and losers of this week compared to last. Of course, this week we had the very tragic Riverside attack. And, looking at the markets, have you seen any particular movement in relation to that attack? Anything sudden, any kind of other movements that you have noticed?
Yeah, true. It was a tragic event, and our hearts go out to the families who are bereaved or suffered any injuries in that occurrence. Going back to the markets, usually we see a blip, or you would usually have an effect on the economy and on the market, which is really what the terrorists intend.
True.
However, so far, you may have a delayed effect. Sometimes it happens instantly, which we haven't seen. Today, the market continued to show, signs of recovery. Of course, I think it was in the way it was handled. The fact that it was very quickly resolved, unlike what happened in the past at Westgate. Also, there was a lot of communication from the government and the powers that be about what was happening, what the status was, etc., which goes a long way to give investors, some peace of mind and feel that they're in a safe space in Kenya. So I believe that all that was done very well, and that has helped to curb the panic that you normally see in markets. We haven't had any of the foreign travel advisories, for example, regarding or based on what happened. So that is also a plus, because whenever there are travel advisories, then it also affects business. So we haven't had that much problem so far.
Okay, yes. That's positive for sure. And as
positive,
you say,
and it just means it shows that we are coming of age in terms of dealing with such issues. Yes.
Yeah, and as you said, no travel advisory so far. We also saw NASA leader Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka come out and say that we'd rather not. We are urging our international partners to not issue travel advisories. Everything is fine. So like you've mentioned, it seems to be having a direct impact on the investor confidence, and it is still maintained. So that is definitely a plus that we are looking at.
True.
But now that we look at our statistics here, we're seeing some of our top gainers like Kenol Kobil actually coming up by 11.20%. Any thoughts on that?
Well, of course, whenever there is currently a corporate action on Kenol Kobil, there is a cash call it's being bought out, really.
Yes.
And the shareholders have been offered to sell their shares at 23 shillings. And it was trading, I think, last week at 19 shillings and 50 cents or thereabouts. Now it has gone up to around 20, 21 shillings. And that means there is speculation happening. You'll always see that sort of volatility. Some people think if I buy it at 20 shillings or 21 shillings and I'll get 23 shillings at the end of the day, it makes sense. So that, of course, is one of the reasons for the speculation. We do expect now, of course, in the next period now to see quite a bit of movement there, or interest, because then when there's a corporate action, there's more information coming out about a company on the market. So until the suspension of trading, then that means that we are going to see quite a bit of volatility. Okay. However, it's really speculative, because 1 or 2 shillings gain is not that much of a percentage.
Okay, all right. In fact, as you say that, let's now move forward to the losers that we've seen this week. Any of these that stand out to you specifically?
Well, not really. I think what you can see in the gainers and losers, well, one positive on the gainers, I can see Centum there and Kenol Kobil, which are the larger and more liquid companies. Whereas if you look at the rest of the companies sitting on that list, Liberty Kenya, East Africa, Everready, Umeme, I think IGADS, they're really very liquid and very low volume. And that is an indicator of where the market is. We are currently in a trough. If you look at the index, you're going to see that in as much as we have seen a bit of upward movement in the last few days, it's a very small percentage. It's it's nothing, it's
not
not significant.
massive.
And if you look at the market since around October, November, we've been in a trough. My view is that we have hit bottom, which is a very good time to be buying, because then if fund managers are still off the market, foreigners are still a bit hesitant, especially with the lockdown in the American government. There's a deadlock over there. So that all brings to a stagnation of markets. It's across the globe, but here we've had it for a while because our market was in a bear run. So that is a sign that the market is looking for a new direction. Once a trend is established, then we can expect it, since we are at bottom, is more likely to go up.
Okay.
As companies start to announce their results, investors start getting more interest in the market, more demand and more liquidity starts happening, then we will see more happening. On the movers, you're going to see the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Safaricom.
Yes.
KCB, Kengen, Cooperative, Centum. Now those will continue to be the movers. The question is, which ones will pick up when the market starts to recover, as people come back from holiday mode.
Okay, yes. Very, very interesting. Thank you for that analysis. And as you mentioned, the NSE 20 share index as well, we're seeing a significant change, I would say, of an increase in that by 2.70%. For the last couple of months, it's been in the negative. So any insight into that?
Well, we are seeing a balance now. We had consistent selling by foreigners. Foreigners take about 70 to 80% of our market.
Okay.
So if foreigners are selling, or then they sell, they are selling more than they're buying, then chances are the market will be going down. And we've had the last 10, 11 months was consistent selling by foreigners.
Okay.
And that is what has pushed even the likes of Safaricom, which has been very resilient over the last 5-6 years, and has been going up consistently, now looking, hitting bottom. So now we are seeing a balance. Suddenly there's almost equal buying and selling. So every day you'll see a blip up or down, just very insignificant, depending on whether they were buying more or selling more. The local investors are a bit fatigued, so they're not really trading that much.
Okay.
So right now what we're watching is what are foreigners going to do. If they start coming into the market, and that is now linked to what sort of results we are going to get as the banks start in the next few weeks telling us how they performed in 2018, then that interest is what is now going to tell us what direction the market will take.
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel. A lot of insights coming there from you.
You're welcome.
All right. As always, a pleasure to have you tuned in, of course, to the Trading Bell. If you have any comments, any questions, any thoughts, let us know through our social media handles. They're appearing on your screen right now. And we'll catch you next time. This has, of course, been the Trading Bell.